Oh, Steven Crowder's saying this. Interesting.
We have not been able to find them yet. We have been able to find official statements from the police chief saying we do not have a motive. That doesn't stop CNN from saying right-wing death squad, which, by the way, someone could also put that on there to troll, like we saw what happened, remember, with Christchurch. Yeah. This happened where he said, I was inspired by Candace Owens and by Ben Shapiro to shoot up, I believe, was it a church or was it a synagogue? I believe in Christchurch. I think it was a synagogue, yeah. Synagogue, it's tough to keep track. So this is important because the truth does matter here. We have not been...
What? What? He was just trolling? What do you mean? Bro, he said, was Christchurch, the shooting in Christchurch, was that a fucking synagogue or a church? It was neither, dog.
I believe, was it a church or was it a synagogue? I live in Christchurch.
It wasn't a church. And it wasn't a synagogue, you fucking idiot. It was a mosque. It was a mosque. It's like so far beyond his like realm of comprehension. That's insane, man. Anyway, it's just like, he's purposely leaving out that it was a mosque? No, he's just fucking stupid. He's stupid and he's fucking racist, okay? And he's not even thinking about like, he doesn't even comprehend that like white supremacists kill Muslims regularly, partially because he likes that shit, okay? I don't think that was a deliberate omission or a lie. I think that was just like straight up because he's just too fucking stupid. That's what I think, okay? Hold on a moment. Okay. Let's get back to Eric's thread, though. So he looked up the profile. He found his YouTube account. The most recent post on his OK profile basically was his manifesto/suicide note, and he closes it with a quote from South Park. Extremely fucking mid content consumption from all of these fucking demons, dude. Like, it's always like, oh, I love South Park and Matt Walsh, and like, I hate liberal media. Libtards are so fucking stupid. I'm gonna be a Nazi now. You're like a weak-brained, pathetic coward. The whole like, oh man, feminists were really shitty to me, so now I associate women with like all of my fucking problems, and oops, before you know it, my favorite PUA podcasts are collaborating with Nazis. Before you know it, oops, I became a Nazi myself. Yes, Dusty Shackelford is a King of the Hill reference. Anyway, flashback to I Write OK's 2019 Bellingcat article on how mass shootings have been gamified, with the Allen shooter talking about a decent kill score in Nashville. This was his suicide note, basically. This was his fucking manifesto. Slayer, mod deranged former Yakuza member and drink and chink cell? What the fuck? I don't even know what this is in reference to. RIP to all my victims and my condolences. Foyd Soy. Real men don't murder innocent victims. Chad. I mean, he's like literally fucking memeing. Bro, he's memeing while he's fucking writing this. Like, he's putting emotes while he's fucking writing this shit. Now, the reason why I'm reading this, especially in this fucking community, okay, is because the reason why I'm reading this because in this community is because these are people who are extremely online on the other side, okay? Some of them are in here right now. Some of them are fucking in here in this very moment. Some of them are in here and changing their behavior, learning, and hopefully not becoming and not going further down in this pipeline. But let's be fucking real. This is a terminally online dude who went in the opposite direction, okay? This is a terminally online person who straight up became a deranged, hate-filled psychopath who thought that he had a sense of community in the far right. Okay? Just because the shooter is trans doesn't mean trans lives don't matter. Soy. No. Fuck all this noise. It's also empty, fake, and boring. Every school shooting to me is the perfect time to be a completely horrible person and see this event like a sport or a comedy. The most important thing about a school shooting is to know the race of a person who did it, the kill count, and then compare their accomplishments of murder to all those who came before. And also, learn intricately the life of the killer so memes can be made. Because let's face it, killing people in an interesting way is an art that earns a lot of respect just inherently. The tenuousness of life forces it to be this way, and to play into the moral banality of it as normies do is kind of gay to me. It's funny how pomp and circumstance, the murder reaction has become this forced solemn church moment we all are forced to affect around in public in order to feel normal, when the reality is I just know a lot of people are just like me and want to revel in the schadenfreude. The media fucking proves it. They will never miss an opportunity to cover the event and cater the coverage exactly to sick fucks like me, because the heart of the matter is we all know it's just a fucking spectacle at this point, and the spectacle is always the killer far more interesting than the boring fucks who were killed. There's always humor in darkness. He's way too fucking self-aware. He's like incredibly online, incredibly fucking self-aware, incredibly aware of this shit. 0 comments, 0 shares, 0 likes. Yeah, these guys write this shit so that people see it after the fact. Like, is this related to incelism too, in a way? I don't know where. Look, the only reason why I'm showing this and the only reason why I'm covering this is because there are a lot of people that are permanently online that you engage with all the fucking time, whether you're in my replies, whether you're in this community and they're sending you fucking psychotic whispers about how they're going to come kill you because you're like a gay soy lord fan of mine, for example. These are the motherfuckers who are around us all the time on the internet. Okay? And it's important to understand their fucking their red pill journey, I guess. It's important to understand where they start, how they get to the place that they get to, and how to stop it. Because ultimately, the most important thing is to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. This is yet another remnant of a fundamentally broken society with no job prospects, with no fucking future, people feeling isolated, people feeling alienated, people losing their fucking minds, and finding a sense of community and a sense of purpose in some of the most nefarious, awful circles online, filled to the brim with people that take advantage of you, that because you're lonely, because you're lost, people that offer you, because you're like a rudderless ship, people that offer you a sense of purpose, and then and constantly reveling in this negativity. And it ultimately turns into this. You become this guy when you lean into it so heavily and you act out on those violent desires. But when there is enough people in your tight, like vacuum sealed echo chamber in your hug box that you have cultivated for yourself and others like you with like-minded individuals, all of a sudden, this kind of like right-wing freakazoid shit is seemingly normal. That's why there are so many people who desperately are like, oh, we're going to make a lolcow out of Hasan. You know what I mean? We're just going to, dude, he's so cringe. He's so cringe. But then when you do that in the real world and you show that kind of behavior to like real human beings, like normies, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You're being gross. Like, get away from me. The same principle stands for transphobia. Transphobia online, okay, has gotten to a point where like people are insanely cringe. They're violent, they're cringe, they're crazy, they've like lost their minds. To the average person, a guy like Matt Walsh, who's like sweaty and talking about fucking teenagers' genitals and shit nonstop, is unimaginably weird, okay? You are unimaginably weird when you do that, but they don't recognize that because they're basically in this like airtight circuit where people are constantly validating their most insane, violent, inherently violent ideals. And you basically think that this is normal when it's certainly not, okay? This is why, unironically, touching grass is a good thing, okay? So the Nashville, so the Nashville shooting was particularly interesting to me because a bitch broke the ER barrier with a decent kill score for the first time. This is like the greatest accomplishment of feminism ever for a foid. I don't even know what that is, even though a T word. I didn't even realize there was a slur in there, by the way. So I apologize earlier. I mean, there's like a bunch of shit in here that I read. So don't fucking freak out on me. I'm like, going through this in real time. Foid means femoid. Even though a T word, but still a vagina haver, to feel so empowered that they could take it upon themselves to pick themselves by the bootstraps, get their gear in order, and successfully go ER is a moment Valerie Solanas would be proud of. Only feminism could have taken biological women to the logical extreme of embodying the highest pinnacles of toxic masculinity. ER is Elliot Rodgers. Also known as the supreme gentleman in these circles, a person that they like literally, Elliot Rodgers, who did the major school shooting back in the fucking day. How do you know that? It is my job to know that. What do you mean? There's a reason why I'm a decent person at like describing the manic screeds of a extremely online brain broken psychopath, because I know where they're coming from. I know what they are talking about. It wasn't a school shooter. Yes, it was. It was a college. He was the OG incel, technically school shooter. He shot up a college, UCSB. Hide. Yeah. He had a BMW. I remember that. Yeah, he did. So this was his post from April 21st, the right-wing death squad patch next to the Punisher logo, of course. Punisher decal, a classic. He was trying to be the Zodiac killer, I guess. See if you losers can solve this. I give you a hint, but even the smallest hint would give me away. While I'm off to watch my favorite show on Sci-Fi. This message was supposed to just be cherry tops. I'm posting it here in case they don't really re-release it. Like, they're such self-important fucking losers, too. That's the funniest part about it, is that, like, they literally think that they're so slick and so smart. I can smell this post. You know what I mean? I can quite literally fucking smell this post from a mile away. Okay? It's literally like, oh, I'm such an anime villain. Like, no, you're not. You're a fucking pathetic loser who couldn't cut it in real society. So you literally decided to take the fucking route of hatred. And instead of like fixing your fucking brain, fixing yourself, fixing your body, fixing your mind, fixing your soul, finding a sense of fucking purpose, you went in this direction that a bunch of other fucking shitty, sweaty, crusty losers do, and you went down this goddamn rabbit hole, and you became this pathetic psychopath who, oh man, everyone should be fearful of me. I'm a big bad white supremacist guy, even though, other white supremacists would probably are currently, actually, as a matter of fact, considering you to not be a real white supremacist, despite your fucking tattoos, despite despite how much you put down for the cause, right? Fucking 33 years old doing this shit, dude. Yeah. Immediately, the right wing, once again, goes, oh, no, that guy's like a gay Nazi. That's not one of us. He's not a real Nazi. He's gay and a Fed. Here's what I think about your diversity, you fucking losers, he said. This is his tattoos. The Allen shooter was apparently a Timcast fan as well. Here are some screenshots. He was a Just Pearly Things fan as well, or at least like he watched a couple Just Pearly Things and a bunch of other shit. I haven't checked this actually him in the picture. I just assume I haven't posted it because he's a big swastika SS fan and has them all over the rest of his profile. I mean, First and foremost, this tattoo is his tattoo. These might be new tattoos that he got, but even if these aren't his tattoos, we already know what his fucking personal politics are. He says, here's what I think about your diversity, you fucking losers. The Texas tattoo is his tattoo. He has that tattoo on his arm. Did you try finding his Twitch profile? Yes, we did, but we couldn't find his Twitch profile. From the Allen, Texas mass shooter social media account. Latino children, act black or become white supremacists. It's funny because it's true. I think I'll take my chances with the white supremacists, he says. New narrative just dropped. I can admit when I'm wrong. I thought he was tied to the cartel. New evidence shows him with Nazi tattoos. He's more likely tied to Ukraine than the cartel. Dude, that's awesome. He literally posted multiple identification cards with his name and face, pictures of receipts with his name and city, and photos of the mall where he carried out the mass shooting a few weeks before he did it. He also posted a manifesto and suicide note right before the shooting. It's like wild to fucking say that. What? 10-6? Couldn't find what 10-6 means? Yeah, not all of his tattoos are supposed to be tied to white supremacy, chatter. It's fine. Like, you know, some of them are not going to be inherently white supremacists. Anyway. But yeah, as we were saying, he had a Hitler emoji. He had a Hitler smiling emoji avatar on his OK.ru and his YouTube account. 10-6 is the Reichstag speech. I don't know if it's like a fucking... I mean, if it's a dog whistle, it's one that even I don't know. So, you know, do with that information what you will. Because, I mean, if I don't know a fucking dog whistle, that's like some deep cut shit, okay? But there's always new stuff that I might not be aware of. Okay. Worth noting that the Allen shooter didn't have any friends or groups on his OK profile. He used it like a personal diary. He may have chosen OK because it has virtually zero content moderation. Christ just noticed this. He was at the mall. He did the attack 3 weeks prior. He was monitoring the peak visiting times on Google. Here's some of his screenshots. The receipt for the kit that Allen, the Texas shooter, bought back in 2020 posted a few weeks before the shooting. He also posted photos of his weapons. I mean, he literally fucking posted his, like, his shit. Like, he posted his, you know, all the weapons that he was using. Boxes upon boxes of ammunition that he apparently received a few weeks before the shooting. These photos were posted at the same time he took pictures of the Allen Mall. Yeah. I guess we'll never know if this guy was a liberal or fascist. My kind of people... Oh, this is that famous... No, this is literally this is in Mexico, isn't it? I remember this. This is a wedding, a Nazi wedding that they did in Mexico. Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe he's not a Nazi. Calling someone a violent incel has lost meaning in the last few years without the term being so overused. But yeah, it fits here. Quotes 13. A review of the psychological evidence concludes that men are shaped by evolution to be aggressive towards outsiders. In the mighty clash of two stags rutting, oh my God, to the dawn of the chimpanzee, he's doing like biological determinism, like that, like. He's saying that like men are. He's trying to biologically prove, like he's trying to do race realism, with a nice little touch of evolutionary psychology, nonsense, where he's like, no, there's a biological reason to be racist. You know, it's because this is my outside group. Anyway, this is a serious subject matter, and for that reason, I'm not gonna fucking like bait you with a top of the hour ad break. By the way, I've been thinking about like when to sneak this in, but I'm just gonna give it to you right now. We know what his ideology is. Yeah, his ideology will be forever a mystery. Pinochet did nothing wrong. My kind of people. He kept posting like, you know, Latin American, South American fucking Nazis, which there are plenty of, by the way. So I wonder what his perspective is. I wonder How does this not set off all the alarms of the FBI? First of all, it's incredibly hard to track this shit. Let's be fucking real. How are you going to do that? The rise of the white nationalist Hispanics. Yeah. Like, I don't think people understand. First of all, a lot of South American countries, a lot of Latin American countries also have like the same colorism and the same anti-black fucking perspectives that the United States of America has due to chattel slavery and colonialism. Okay, so there's that. I mean, look at Argentina, okay, as a nation, if you want. And there's plenty of fucking dumb douchebags in every one of these countries. Brazil, for example, has an insanely large contingency of white supremacists, okay? If you think that there are no, like, real fucking direct descendants of Nazis living in South America, I don't know what to tell you. Holy fuck. Okay? So, you know, it's a very identical almost way of admiring these fucking horrific losers. Oh yeah, here's the 3-minute ad break right now, by the way. Sorry. There's a Kyle Rittenhouse Center in Argentina. That's hilarious. A cultural center named after Kyle Rittenhouse. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, first and foremost, you can be black and a white supremacist. You can be Latino and a white supremacist. There are plenty, okay? So that's number one. And number two, I mean, there are also plenty of like actual out and about Nazis in Latin American countries. And this guy is loved LARPing as them, okay? Anyway, here is some more stuff. Calling someone a violent incel has lost all its meaning. The reason men chase resources is because of what resources attract women. Yeah, dude, I didn't know a single fucking thing. I hadn't read through this thread, and I already know exactly what the fuck is going on. It's the PUA to fucking right wing to like reactionary, insane incel Nazi pipeline right there. He was all over that pipe, dude. He was piping it. Yeah, this whole like, oh yeah, women are bitches. There's like an evolutionary reason why we're doing all this shit, and now I'm a fucking white supremacist. It's always the same. PUA stands for pickup artists, like the red pill community, the manosphere as they call them now. If men cannot be creators of society, they will be destroyers of society. Now it's up to society which role they want us to follow. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? You're a fucking loser, man. You're just a loser. Like, that's it. You're a loser who had a fucking violent outburst like a child. But unfortunately, the reality is that your violent outburst also killed a bunch of fucking people. But that's it. That's where like the tiny fucking breaking point is. It's like a sense of entitlement and turning around and just like manifesting their violent outrage when they do not meet this mythologized sense of self. When that doesn't happen for them, they have to do something about it. And instead of like working very hard, working on themselves, getting some mental clarity, okay, and being at peace with yourself, they decide to fucking go deeper and darker into this like horribly right-wing pipeline and become this fucking monstrous person who thinks that this kind of violent backlash, this kind of like violent outburst is going to somehow proselytize them or turn them into like this martyr when it's not. You're a fucking idiot. You killed a bunch of random people, dumbass. You killed people who are fucking powerless. Okay? Like, you are not the Shinzo Abe assassin. You know what I mean? You're not. If men cannot be creators, these in modern times, social contract is no longer functioning. Expecting men to not regress and go back to the days of rape and violence when the contract is no longer being enforced or adhered to is truly what's outrageous. Not the acts themselves. Yeah, this is a person. Immediately, dude. This guy, I've seen it so many fucking times. He's trying to appear as like, look, this is a person who is desperately trying to come across like a scary person. Okay? He wrote this shit knowing that after the fact, after his like gross, violent actions, that people will read this and go, ooh, he's so scary. Okay? He's so scary. He's like an anime villain. He sounds unhinged to you, but the reality is, yeah, this is the same fake confidence we saw in these pricks back in 2016. Alt-right, but instead of them hating normies because they felt like reject losers, these new guys think they're better than everyone in all ways of life, from race to tradition, etc. But you can't both be a bat chest Giga Chad and also no one bad, and also one bad day away from killing a bunch of people and yourself. Exactly. Exactly. It is this inherent contradiction that like you are this incredibly confident deity. You're a Chad. You're descendant of like barbarian warriors, right? In your mind, there is this mythology, this white supremacist mythology that is constantly cycling in your fucking empty tin can of a fucking head, where you're like, you're the guy. You're that guy. You're the fucking warrior hero. I'm gonna go back to like fucking raping and pillaging, like I got no, like my ancestors did. That type of shit, right? Meanwhile, you're not that. You're a fucking reject who has genuine, deep mental health issues and probably no fucking financial independence or security or even interest, really, due to toxic masculinity to solve any of those things. You don't want to work on yourself. You don't want to do any of that shit. So you're literally thinking like, oh, it's an achievement. Like the smallest, most innocuous version of this is like a child that, you know, acts out, or like a puppy that acts out when they're not getting when they're not getting the attention that they want in that very moment. This is the societal collapse version of that, okay? Like, these motherfuckers were literally writing. I mean, he was literally writing shit like he was emoting in his note, in his suicide note, in his manifesto. He was emoting like, Chad, soy. You're a fucking reject, man. You're a loser. Now, we do that all the time here at Twitch, but at least we recognize how fucking silly and stupid that is. You know what I mean? Men aren't entitled to sex. True, I agree, but women aren't entitled to safety either. The violent responses of men today are retaliatory. There's no real motivation to bother trying to be a hard worker, to be civilized, when your reward at the end of the day is to get married to used goods who is likely only settling for you because she's aged past her prime and has a ton of baggage. This is 4chan. This is Poll. Straight up. This is, if you've ever seen any green text beyond like whatever those green text aggregator Twitter accounts are, if you've ever actually gone to the dark side and seen some of this shit, this is precisely how these fucking incel losers talk. Okay? Like the idea that like a woman is aged past her prime, she's used goods because she got dicked down by Chad when she was in her best years, which also always is like under the age of 18 according to them. Okay? And is likely settling for you because she's past her prime and has a ton of baggage. As cold as a glacier in Russia in the dead of the winter. Conclusion: everyone who tells us variations of sex is not a big deal needs to die and be forced into lifelong celibacy, no exceptions. Disenfranchised males are self-destructive males. There's a sense of like that entitlement seeps out there too. It's like, how dare you disenfranchise me, a man? I will react in this violent way now. Look what you made me do. No sense of accountability in his actions, like no interest in that whatsoever. It is the reverse of like genuinely looking at structural hurdles and finding ways to clear them or trying to implement systemic solutions to those problems. It's literally misunderstanding structural hurdles, a byproduct of the mystification of class politics in this country, by the way. So shouts out to neoliberalism for that. And then hyper focusing on why your sense of entitlement has not panned out in the way that it was supposed to because of the mythologized understanding of like the prior Vikings and the barbarians that came before you that were raping and pillaging. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure those fucking raping and pillaging barbarians and Vikings weren't also adhering to the Pareto principle, they were also probably adhering to the Pareto principle in the same way that fucking you guys are, in the way that you talk about it. I'm sure there was a head Viking that was the Chad Viking that was getting all the top shelf pussy, bro. You know what I mean? Also, on top of that, you were dying at the fucking old age of like 17. That is, if you actually avoided dying during labor. You know what I mean? That's the funniest part about these incel white supremacists who think that like a trad society is going to somehow magically rewrite the rules, and that like people are not going to want to, behave in the ways that they normally would, or some other kind of social hierarchy is not going to substitute it. Like, no, dude, let's say you have this like incel trad Nazi ethno state that you created. The most Aryan motherfucker is still going to be getting all the Aryan Stacys that you want, okay? The most Aryan Chad is going to maybe have different metrics of success under that kind of reorganization of society, but there's still going to be a guy. You want to know why? Because you're a fucking loser. The thing that I'm mentioning here also is unironically the reason why fascism, okay, is a death cult. It is slated to always implode unless there is some kind of counterbalance. Because there's always another in-group that is more powerful than the rest. You have to constantly be fighting enemies. You have to be in a permanent war. That's how fascism works. There's always a smaller and smaller in-group. You know what I mean? All these people that we now consider white, for example, okay, would not have fallen under the category of white. But let's say we go back to the Benjamin Franklin era of like whiteness, where we think even Germans are fucking swarthy. We think the Italians are not white, which we don't right now. We think that, Slavs are not white, Jews are not white, all this other shit, right? Let's say we go back to that. At a certain point, someone is going to come out and say, okay, we got the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. That's the good part, right? Those are the good white people. Those are the real white people. Maybe some French. Because, Benny liked French pussy. Let's be real. That's the part of the reason why Benjamin Franklin thought, we'll allow the French to be considered white. Okay? But someone's going to turn around and say, yeah, only the blue-eyed, blonde-haired whites are the real whites, actually. We've decided. You know that, right? Because there's the Ubermensch. Whiteness and the social context surrounding whiteness can expand, it can contract and get smaller and smaller and smaller, and fascism dictates that it gets smaller, okay? And ultimately, you're going to fall out of that in-group. Eventually, it has to have an enemy. I mean, this guy wasn't even in the in-group. He wasn't on the team for many different reasons, being, a brown dude, a Latin American guy. You know what I mean? He thought so. He thought he was on the team. He was like, I'm putting the team on my back. You know? Anyway, what is overtly normal and what is covertly normal are two very different things. For example, in public, normies will say that banging a family member is nasty, but in private, porn website data shows people are extremely interested in Ocest-themed content. What the fuck? No, that's a you thing, brother. Pretty sure that's a you thing. Oh, yuck. If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. Be fruitful and multiply. They have been overproductive growth stunters, control freak tyrants, prudes who blue-balled me at every turn, narcissistic abusers, and because they know it will get a rise out of me, they even annoy me just for the fun of it. Yeah, everyone is out to get me. It's the systems that have made me this way. I have no backbone. I have no interest in taking accountability or ownership. Worth noting that he uploaded this video before the shooting and scheduled for it to be published onto his YouTube channel after the shooting. In a March post, he linked the same YouTube channel, so it's definitely his. Wait, is this the... Yeah, he's such a fucking loser. Like, he is such a cringe fucking loser. Yeah, he literally is. I mean, this is definitely him. You know what I mean? Also, it's the same apartment that he posted back in December 2022 on his OK page. I mean, yeah, there you go. I mean, this is how he lived. Many people live like this and don't become weirdo white nationalists, white supremacists, psychopathic shooters and shit. But hey, what do I fucking know? You know? But in summary, the Allen shooter was obviously a white supremacist neo-Nazi. He was basically announcing that he was going to do a mass shooting for months beforehand and planned his target weeks in advance. He also posted his handwritten personal diary. Everything I've seen shows that this is about the most textbook mass shooter you'll ever find, and he tells you about it every step of the way. He'll be a reference point for decades on mass shooters because he shared so much. Also forgot to post earlier, but I found his OK profile by searching for active profiles on the filters of his birthday, those living in the U.S. and male. About 50 results, and the Hitler smiley face avatar made it an easy pick for my first choice of checking if it was him. One last thing, noticed by Jake Godin, the Allen shooter was a big fan of libs of TikTok and signed off on one of his posts with Heil Hitler. This post was inspired by libs of TikTok. I had this teacher who was supposed to be a chemistry teacher, but she used the class to promote Jewish mud diversity type hippie bullshit. Libs of TikTok, by the way, is Jewish, for the record. He don't give a fuck, though. He is a Latino Nazi. So, like, again, this is one of the most, like, fascinating parts about white supremacist reactionary movements is that, like, a lot of times they don't give a fuck. They'll watch Ben Shapiro and go, yeah, he's a Jew, but he's saying, like, the right things here. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like that. And then these guys then turn around and go, wow, I'm so shocked that the, you know, people that are fans of mine are also fans of Joseph Mengele. You know? His views on his own identity. Yeah, I already covered this. Interesting how he posted a meme almost identical to the one that the shooter posted himself. Yeah, that's funny, man. Another shock to find out that another crypto cheerleader with a fucking paid blue check mark is out here doing the same exact meme that this guy was doing, you know? Have you ever considered incorporating scientific political articles in your commenting on subjects, etc.? Yes, we do it in post. When I am giving you a point of reference, it's often from a political journal or some kind of, there's always empirical evidence backing up what I'm saying. If you go to my YouTube page and rewatch the videos, my editors will include the exact sources that I'm referencing off the top of my dome. Sometimes I might even get it a little bit wrong. I might get the numbers off. You know what I mean? I'll explain it to you. But you know, you can find the sauce on my YouTube. So there you go. I had this teacher who was supposed to be what is this? But she used the class to promote Jewish mod diversity type hippie bullshit. I was just starting to go right wing. She would always say some politically correct crap like we all bleed red or there's only one race, the human race. And I didn't know what to say at the time. I know what I would say now. Animals bleed red, but they're not considered human. If theirs is only one race, human race, how is it possible for anyone to be racist? I was sick of hearing her bullshit. I mean, he doesn't even have like a well flushed out, like he didn't even do the reading. You know what I mean? This fucking dildo didn't even read like Culture of Critique or any kind of like important, formative fascist text, it feels like. He just basically was doing the memes. Like he was just reading memes on the internet, like a Chapo Reddit poster who learned everything online about like Marxism from memes. Ridiculous. I was sick of hearing her bullshit. One day, just for the fun, I did a Roman salute. She got butthurt as well. Gotcha. She said, don't even get me started